Everything you've been through was preparing you for this moment, spoken slowly, powerfully. There's a reason you didn't quit. There's a reason you kept going, even when your soul was breaking. And maybe you've never heard this before, but every single moment, the heartbreaks, the loneliness, the failures, they weren't just pain. They were preparation. Main body. Narrative begins. You remember the nights you stayed up, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself questions no one else could answer. Why me? Why does this keep happening? When will it get better? You didn't get answers back then. All you got was silence and survival. But you need to understand something now. Those chapters you thought were setbacks, they were the exact curriculum your soul needed to become who you are. You weren't being punished. You were being shaped. Let me take you back for a second, to that first time you failed. Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a dream that collapsed, a person who walked away without explanation. In that moment, it felt like life was closing a door. But what you didn't see was that behind that door was a mirror. Life was asking, do you know who you really are without all of this? Because real strength, it isn't built in moments of comfort. It's forged in the fires of rejection, confusion, and starting over. You thought you were breaking, but really, you were being rebuilt. Bit by bit, tier by tier, lesson by lesson. And what's crazy is, no one saw it. No one celebrated it. You didn't get a trophy for surviving your worst day, but you made it through. And that, in itself, is everything. Slow, emotional transition, spoken like a whisper. They don't talk about this part. The part where you grow in silence. Where you cry in the car, then walk into the meeting like nothing happened. Where you carry the weight of your world and still show up for everyone else. But you did it. Not once. Not twice. Over and over again. Let me say this now, in case no one has. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not lost just because you're still finding your way. You are not behind. You're being refined. Think about the people around you. Some of them have everything on the outside, but they're empty on the inside. Because they never struggled. They never had to wrestle with life. They never had to question everything and rebuild from dust. But you have something they don't. Depth. You've been to the bottom. And when you came back up, you brought something with you. Compassion, resilience, wisdom. Every challenge you thought would destroy you, it actually revealed you. That breakup, it made you love yourself harder. That failure, it taught you how to grind with humility. That betrayal, it taught you boundaries. That lonely season, it taught you presence. All of it was preparing you for this moment. Let's talk about purpose. People think purpose is a job title, a platform, a million followers. But real purpose? It's becoming the kind of person you needed when you were at your lowest. It's turning your wounds into wisdom, your fear into fuel, your losses into lessons. So why are you still here? Because there's something only you can do, a message only you can deliver, a path only your soul was trained to walk. And every moment that felt like punishment was actually preparation for your next chapter. You had to learn how to stand alone, so when your moment comes, you won't crumble. You had to lose people, so you'd never again lose yourself. You had to fail, so you'd learn how to fly without fear. Soft, emotional pause. What if all of this, every tear, every no, every unanswered prayer, was life building your character? Because now, you don't just know how to survive. You know how to lead. You know how to build. You know how to inspire. And that is priceless. So if you're standing at the edge of your next move, if you're feeling uncertain about stepping into who you were meant to be, remember this. Life wasn't punishing you. It was preparing you. And everything you've been through was getting you ready for right now. Let's go deeper. You ever notice how some people walk into a room and command it? Not because they're loud or flashy or rich, but because there's something about them that feels anchored. It's like their presence speaks before they do. That's what happens when you've lived through fire. You walk differently. You don't flinch when things go wrong, because you've already been broken and still rose. You don't panic under pressure, because pressure is your native language. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need to pretend anymore, because you know who you are, and you know what it took to become that. But here's the part nobody warns you about. That strength, that depth, that unshakable clarity, it comes with a cost. It's not born in the highlight reels. It's forged in the forgotten moments. It's shaped when you're picking yourself up with no one clapping for you. It's found when you learn to forgive without apology, to heal without revenge, and to let go without closure. Do you know how powerful you are? To still love after being hurt. To still try after being discouraged. to still believe after being let down. People say be resilient, like it's a buzzword. But you've lived it. You didn't just bounce back. You evolved. Now listen to this carefully. There's a moment that comes after the struggle. A moment of clarity. A moment where everything starts to make sense. It doesn't come when you force it. It comes when you finally surrender the story you were telling yourself. The one that said, I'm not good enough. I'll never heal. It's too late for me. Because that story, it was written in survival mode. And now, you're not surviving anymore. You're emerging. So many people carry their past like it's their identity. But you're starting to realize, your past is not your prison. It's your proof. Proof that you're still here. Proof that you didn't fold. Proof that your spirit is stronger than circumstance. You ever think about how many times you wanted to quit, but didn't? How many times you felt empty, but showed up anyway? That's grit. That's spiritual muscle. That's quiet strength. And now, it's time to use it. There's a calling on your life. And I'm not talking about something mystical. I'm talking about real impact. Something only you can bring into the world, because only you live the path you did. Only you know what it feels like to cry behind closed doors and smile in front of crowds. Only you know the weight of your story. And that story, it's not a weakness. It's your superpower. People need that story. Not because they want your pain, but because they want your process. They want to know, how did you get through it? What kept you going? What did you learn? Because you don't just inspire people by being perfect. You inspire people by being real. Let me ask you something. What if your pain wasn't meant to destroy you, but to equip you? What if the nights you spent crying were actually building emotional intelligence? What if the moments of doubt were cultivating your spiritual intuition? What if the isolation wasn't abandonment, but alignment? You don't find yourself in crowds. You find yourself in silence. You find yourself in the aftermath of endings. In the empty space where something used to be. And that space, that emptiness, it's sacred because it's where new identity is born. Slow, contemplative moment. There's someone out there right now, younger, hurting, confused, who needs to hear what you've learned. They don't need advice. They need a witness. They need someone who says, yeah, I've been there. And I came out the other side. That someone is you. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They're signatures of wisdom. They say, I've been tested. I've been broken. But I've never been beaten. So what now? You're here. You've survived. You've learned. Now it's time to create. Create meaning. Create momentum. Create the life you once thought you weren't worthy of. Because you are. You always were. It just took the journey to remember that. Here comes a moment, often quiet, often unexpected, when something inside you shifts. Not because the pain is gone, not because everything's finally perfect, but because you realize you survived what was meant to break you. And surviving it wasn't just about making it through, it was about what you discovered on the way. You learned to listen to your own voice, not the noise. You learned to breathe, even when it hurt. You learned that healing isn't a straight road. It's a wild, winding path through the woods of your own soul. And somewhere on that path, you found yourself. Remember those nights you couldn't sleep because your thoughts were too loud? Now you use that stillness to reflect, to build. Remember when you couldn't see past the pain? Now you use that memory as fuel, to move with intention. You've traded survival for presence. And now, the version of you that's emerging? They're not just alive, they're awake. This moment, right now, is sacred. Not because it's flashy or easy or clean, but because it's real. Because it's yours. No applause. No validation. Just you, standing at the edge of everything you were and everything you're becoming. That edge is terrifying, but it's also electrifying. Because on the other side of fear is freedom. And fear doesn't mean stop. It means you're getting close. Close to the breakthrough. Close to the alignment. Close to the life that's been calling you. Not the life others told you to live, but the one that feels like home, like truth, like you. Let me tell you something most people won't. You don't need to be fearless to change your life. You just need to be brave enough to take one step. Even if your hands shake, even if your voice trembles, even if you're still healing. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving anyway, because you know what's at stake. And what's at stake? You. The real you. The version of you this world hasn't seen yet. The version of you all of this was preparing. That's why the world hasn't recognized you yet. Because you've been becoming someone completely new. You outgrew the labels. You unlearned the limits. You stopped waiting for permission. You became dangerous, not because you hurt people, but because you can't be controlled by fear anymore. You're no longer living for approval, you're living for alignment. And that's when your life begins to shift. People might not understand it at first. You'll lose some. You'll confuse others. But you'll gain something greater: clarity. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about who belongs. Clarity about where you're going. You'll stop fighting for space in rooms you've outgrown. You'll stop shrinking to fit what was never built for you. You'll start building rooms of your own. Now hear this. Everything you've been through, every failure, every heartbreak, every time you thought, "Why me?" It was not the end of your story. It was the refining of your soul. And it gave you something no shortcut ever could: wisdom. Not the kind you read in books, but the kind you bleed for, the kind you cry for, the kind you earn in silence. So now what will you do with it? Will you keep hiding your light? Or will you finally let the world see who you really are? Because the world isn't changed by people who have it all figured out. It's changed by people who show up anyway, real, raw, and ready. It's changed by people like you. People who've been through the fire and came out gold. Pause here. Breathe. Close your eyes if you need to. Feel the weight of everything you've carried and the strength it took to carry it. This is not weakness. This is not failure. This is your becoming. People won't always understand the version of you that's rising. And that's okay. Because you're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. To stand true. To stand tall. Even if your legs shake. Even if your voice cracks. Even if you're still figuring it out. Because now you know. You were never meant to just survive life. You were meant to shape it. You're not here to repeat the old stories. You're here to rewrite them. You're not here to chase someone else's dream. You're here to live your truth. And no one, not your past, not your doubt, not your fear, gets to take that from you. There's a reason you've felt something stirring inside you lately. That quiet pressure in your chest, that restless energy you can't name. It's not anxiety. It's not doubt. It's readiness. You've been walking through your life with pieces of yourself scattered, dreams half buried, truths swallowed to keep peace, a voice muted for the comfort of others. But now, something inside you has stopped asking for permission. It's tired of waiting, tired of shrinking, tired of pretending that almost is enough. Because deep down, you know what's at stake: a life unlived, a purpose untouched, a version of you that never got to exist, not because you weren't worthy, but because you kept playing small for a world that couldn't handle your full size. But let's make something clear. You don't owe this world your silence. You owe it your fire. Now is the time to decide who you're going to be, not based on who you've been, but on who you choose to become. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are not the opinion of people who couldn't see your value. You are becoming something else. Something freer. Something sharper. Something more true. And yes, the process is messy. But don't confuse discomfort with failure. Growth always starts in the dark. This is the moment to start trusting you're becoming. To start acting like the person you're meant to be, even if you're not there yet. Because here's the secret. Transformation doesn't start when you have it all together. It starts when you begin showing up as if you already believe in your voice. As if your presence already carries power. As if you deserve the life you keep dreaming about. This isn't fake. It's not delusion. It's alignment. Because the truth is, you've always been that person. The storm just made you forget. So now the question is, what will you do with this version of yourself? Will you still wait for the right time? Will you keep waiting for a sign? Or will you realize that you are the sign? You're breathing. You're alive. You're capable. You're aware. That's all the confirmation you need. The world is full of people waiting for something to change. But you're the kind of person who decides to be the change. Even if you're scared, even if you're tired, even if you're still figuring it out. Because there is no perfect timing, just perfect intention. So take the first step. Write the message. Start the business. Leave the room that doesn't honor you. Say the thing you've been holding in for years. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop hiding your heart. Stop pretending you're fine, living a life that's too small for your soul. You're not selfish for wanting more. You're not crazy for dreaming bigger. You're not behind, you're becoming. You're not meant to walk someone else's path, even if it looks easier. Your path is yours. And yes, it's steep. Yes, it's uncertain. Yes, it's lonely at times. But it's also sacred. Because with every step you take, you're reclaiming your power. Not the loud kind that demands attention, the quiet kind that knows. And as you move forward, imperfectly, bravely, you'll begin to notice something. The pain didn't destroy you. It carved you. It shaped your depth. It taught you to listen. It burned away everything that wasn't you. What's left is real. What's left is ready. And what's coming? That's the reward for your resilience. But don't chase the outcome. Chase the becoming. Because the greatest gift isn't what you'll get from this journey. It's who you'll become because of it. The you who speaks with purpose. The you who lives with integrity. The you who wakes up knowing they're not here to survive. They're here to rise. You're going to inspire people, not because you're perfect, but because you kept showing up. You're going to light the way, not by yelling louder, but by standing firmly in your truth. You're going to change lives, not someday, but now. Because now is when your power is needed. Not when you're ready, not when you're certain, not when everything makes sense, but now, messy, raw, in progress you. So stop waiting for someone to hand you the keys. The door was always unlocked. And the version of you that's been hiding behind fear, they've waited long enough. It's time to come out of hiding. It's time to show up. It's time to own who you are, not someday, not next year, now. So here you are. After everything, after all the late nights spent doubting yourself, after the betrayals, the setbacks, the breakdowns that almost broke you, after the seasons where you had to smile for everyone else while you were secretly falling apart, you're still standing. But not just standing, you're waking up. And this moment, right here, this is what everything was preparing you for. You thought you were being buried, but you were being planted. You thought the pain was punishment, but it was actually preparation. Every delay was divine. Every detour was designed. Every disappointment was development. Because you weren't meant to arrive fully formed. You were meant to evolve. And evolution isn't pretty. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. It's the unglamorous process of stripping away everything that's not aligned with your true self. But now, the world is about to meet the version of you that was always supposed to exist. Listen closely. There is someone out there who is going to need you. Not the perfect, polished, made for social media version, but the real you. The one who's been through the fire and chose not to stay bitter. The one who knows what it's like to feel unseen and will never let others feel invisible. The one who understands pain but didn't let it become their identity. That version of you is powerful beyond measure. Because your scars don't make you broken, they make you qualified. The world doesn't need another filtered highlight reel. It needs voices of truth. It needs stories that cut through the noise. It needs warriors of hope. Not the ones who pretend everything is fine, but the ones who show up anyway. You are one of those warriors. Even when you didn't feel like it. Even when no one noticed. Even when you wanted to give up. You kept going. And now, it's time to use everything you've been through as fuel. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were never wrong about who you could become. This is not the time to slow down. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to look back. This is your activation point. The chapter where things stop happening to you and start happening through you. Where you stop reacting and start creating. Where you stop waiting and start leading. Where you stop just existing and start living on purpose. You don't need permission. You don't need to explain. You don't need to wait for someone to come and choose you. You've already been chosen by the life that's been calling to you from the beginning. That dream you can't shake? It's yours for a reason. That fire in your belly? It's not random. It's remembrance. It's your soul recognizing what you were born for. So now breathe. Really breathe. And ask yourself, not what should I do, but who am I ready to become? And then move toward that, even if your voice shakes. Even if the path isn't clear. Even if you have to do it alone. Because some parts of your journey are supposed to be walked solo, not as punishment, but because no one else can carry the weight of your calling. If you're feeling scared, good. It means you're on the edge of something real. If you're feeling unqualified, good. It means you're about to grow into a space bigger than your comfort zone. If you're feeling like it's too late, let me be the voice that says, it's right on time. You haven't missed anything. You're not behind. You're not too far gone. You're exactly where you need to be to become who you were always meant to be. And now here's the moment. The real one. Your call to action. Not just for this video. Not just for this day. But for your life. No more excuses. No more playing small. No more waiting for the right moment. This is the moment. So whatever you've been putting off, start it. That vision, breathe life into it. That fear, look it dead in the eyes and walk through it. Because the version of you that was buried in self-doubt, they're not in charge anymore. The version of you that knows who they are, the version who survived, who learned, who grew, they're here now. And the world? The world is ready for you now. So rise. With every scar. With every lesson. With every ounce of power you forgot you had. Stand in the fullness of who you've become. And speak. Walk. Act like someone who remembers. Because you were never broken. You were becoming. And now, it's time to live like it. Direct hit, call to action, voiceover script. If this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Share it with someone who needs to remember their worth. And if you're ready to fully step into the version of you this world has been waiting for, subscribe. Join us on this journey at MindFire Motivation. Because your story is just beginning. And this time, you write the ending.